Welcome to EduTech's webinar series, where we strive to empower educators with innovative technology ideas. Welcome everyone to our next episode of our EduTech webinar series. I am so excited to have our guest here with us today, Miss Shelby Adam from Minnewaukan Public Schools. Shelby, welcome.
Thanks, Charity.
Shelby is a librarian media specialist over in Minnewaukan, and in this episode, we really wanted to give you some insight of what's really happening in some of our schools in North Dakota and some of the exciting things. So, Shelby, again, thanks for being with us today. So, first, can you tell me a little bit about Minnewaukan? What is it like in Minnewaukan?
Sure. So Minnewaukan School is a rural school near Devil's Lake and the Spirit Lake Reservation. The population we serve mostly consists of students from those two areas. It's kind of a unique situation where a lot of our students actually aren't in district in the Minnewaukan community. We have about 265 students in grades pre-K through 12 currently.
Okay, so you're a fairly small school with a lot of
Yes.
variety and a lot of students from all over. That's great. In a small community. Okay,
Yep.
very rural. Wonderful. So let me ask you, what is your role as the librarian media specialist in the school? Obviously, you take care of the library, but what does that look like in a small school in North Dakota?
So it's a little different for our school. We went without a librarian for several years, so I'm kind of redefining the role a little bit from what we've had in the past. I guess my vision for it and what I've talked with the administration is that my job is to integrate some technology skills, and that's something that hasn't been a heavy focus in the past. So I'm trying to bring that into our students' education, as well as teach them research skills, how to find information, all the traditional librarian skills too.
I love that. So librarian slash media specialist slash discovery center, if you
Yes.
would, right? I love that. So that brings up another question with House Bill 1398 and the requirements that we have for bringing computer science and cybersecurity and now even AI into the classroom. What does that look like for you in the elementary grades?
Yeah. So a couple years ago, when we found out about this, all teachers are required to become level 3 certified at our school to teach these technology and cybersecurity skills and implement them in their classrooms. And we've been doing lots of professional development on this to prepare our staff for that.
Yeah, that's great. And we've been very fortunate to be able to come to Minnewaukan and help you guys with that implementation plan. And it's been really fun to see your students just gravitating and really getting engaged with some of the things and the activities that we've been doing. So tell me a little bit about what your school's experience level is with using technology and learning.
Like I said, our school didn't have a library and media teacher for a few years, so we didn't have anybody taking the lead on introducing different kinds of technology really beyond the realm of just Chromebooks with our students and iPads. So when I took the position last year, I agreed to take the reins on integrating more technology into our students' education. So a lot of these skills like coding, using AI, and even some of the cybersecurity skills are brand new for our students. And frankly, some of them are brand new for me too. So I'm learning just ahead of them on a lot of it. Luckily, we live in a world where technology is everywhere. So many kids have had some exposure, but our school has entered a new kind of exciting realm of teaching and using technology in ways many of our kids haven't seen before.
You bring up a good point. You know, our students are oftentimes exposed to these type technologies, but it also comes into play what is ethical and responsible use, right? So I can see where that's going to be more of a challenge for you to help integrate and help them understand what that really looks like. So how are you using this technology now for learning in schools, being that you now have this designated position? And this is your goal and your vision, and your administration is right there on board with you, which is great. How do you plan on, using this to help your students with their learning in your school?
Yeah, so a couple examples of what we're doing. Last year, the classroom teachers and I exposed our kids to coding in a couple different ways. One of those ways was using robots.
Okay.
And our school purchased the Indy cars, and they're
Um,
coded to do certain commands based on the colored mats they drive over. The first few lessons with the Indies for many of us just involved getting to know them a little bit and figuring out how they worked, getting the kids acquainted with which color matched their command. Once they knew the basics, we had them map out routes through obstacles. In the library, I had kids tell SEL stories and even do some storytelling based on books that we read in the library.
wow. Can you tell me a little more about the SEL stories? That's really interesting.
Yeah, so um, I'd preface the lesson with just asking kids what color they thought anger was, or what color they thought happiness would be, or excitement. And a lot of them had, a variety of answers. And then I
Mhm.
would show them the colors of our Indy cars mats that they had to drive over. And I said, well, what color do you think this purple mat would be? And we kind of brainstormed like that for a bit. And then I would have them create their own little path and tell what the Indy car was feeling when he got to certain mats and certain colors. They had a lot of fun with that.
I like that. That's a
It
great
was,
idea.
yeah, it was cool to see what they came up with.
That is really neat. So, what else other than the indies do you have as far as technology tools that you can use for coding and cybersecurity and AI?
So one of the other tools our school purchased was the Sphero Bolt Plus robot. So these are little spherical driving robots that can either be driven with a remote control, like Mario Kart style, right? Just with a control pad on the iPad. And they can also be coded to move and perform like tons of different functions. They can put on a light show, they can show images. So, of course, we let the kids have fun and just cruise them around initially.
Yeah.
But once they had gotten to drive them around a little bit, I introduced the block coding aspect where students could code them to move different speeds, distances, have them spin, speak, show different light displays on their screen. And they thought that was pretty cool. So, my favorite lesson I did with these robots was with the fourth and sixth graders. I laid out a strip of tape on the floor with a balloon taped to the end of it, and students were given some tools, a plastic cup, four paper clips, some duct tape, and a scissors, and they had to craft a balloon popper to
Oh,
set on
cool.
top of their robot. And they had to figure out how they were going to make sure their robot could still move, right, with all that junk on top of it. And also how they were going to pop that balloon based on how long their piece of tape was, using only coding, no Mario Kart style driving.
Okay.
So it was fun to watch different ideas they came up with, their problem solving when they made a mistake. They weren't given any extra supplies, so if they messed up, they had to figure it out. It was really cool.
That really, that number one, it sounds really fun. It reminds me of that show, I think it was on TV, Robot Wars or something like that, where they have these obstacles and the robots have to do this. I've only watched it one time, but I can see where students would really find that fun and engaging, but yet learning at the same time. So did you have students that were able to pop the balloons?
I think I only had one group that was able to. There were others that were very, very close, and we just didn't have enough time
Okay.
for a lot of them to finish.
That sounds like they used a lot of critical thinking and problem solving skills during that activity. Is that something you plan on doing again?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a repeat lesson for sure. It was a hit.
Yeah, okay, great. What so you've got the indie robots, you have Spheros, and again, it's not necessarily about the tool, right? It's teaching the concepts. What other tools, what other things do you guys do in Minnewaukan to teach coding, cybersecurity, and AI?
So we also have Minecraft education. All the kids have their accounts. Many other teachers are using this one too. This is probably the most used so far.
Really?
So
Okay.
those teachers, including myself, are using Minecraft education to reinforce classroom content since there are all of those content areas within and built-in lessons that you can use. So there are all kinds of worlds for art and cybersecurity, language arts, all of that. So I've had them do certain builds based on the setting of a story we're reading in library, or build a tool to solve a problem in the story that we're reading, things
Okay.
like that. I know there are also teachers who are using the coding aspect too.
Yeah, Minecraft is it's one of my favorites, let's be honest. And like you said, it can fit into any classroom and there's so many different things. And now, there's the computer science pathway, the cybersecurity pathway, and now even an AI pathway. So these are going to be additional lessons that, you'll be able to bring in. And a regular classroom can bring it into their regular content area as well, which is so powerful. And it's fun and engaging. So I know you primarily focus on the elementary students, but I know you've also seen how some high school teachers are also using Minecraft as a tool. And do you see the engagement with the high school students as well?
Absolutely. Yeah, I do teach a seventh and eighth grade class this year,
Okay.
and part of that class is a study hall. And those kids are always asking me if that's the homework they can work on during that time. That's what they are the most excited to do. So,
Okay. So we know we can assign homework in Minecraft and our students will probably do it.
yep, it's the first thing that gets done.
Usually, right? Well, there we go. Teachers out there, if you want your students to do homework and assignments based in your classroom, let's bring in some Minecraft education. That's great. So with all of these tools that you have and all of the technology and how to integrate that, can be, sometimes a task. But first, before we get into, the challenges that you might have, when you think of all of these different tools, what skills do you see are being fostered in your students?
In my class, personally, I feel that students are learning to apply their knowledge in creative ways, to think critically about situations and solutions to problems. They're also being exposed to the world of AI, which is fairly new, and it's always changing. So they're learning how to use AI in a productive, ethical way, which is super important today, right? With all the deep
Mhm.
fakes. And
Yep.
yeah, we're just starting to dive into that this year.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. It's one thing to be a consumer of AI and using AI. We use that on our cell phones all the time with our predictive texting. I'm sure some of your students have seen that before. But it's another thing to be a creator of AI and an ethical user, right? And a responsible user. So that's great. I love that you're seeing that with your students in some of the lessons that you're doing. So that brings me back to some of the challenges. This is all great and it sounds fantastic. And I know before having you in your position, there were some challenges. But what challenges have you experienced since you've been in your role, Shelby?
Well, like I said, I just started this position last year, so a lot of this is fairly new to me as well. So I'm doing a lot of the learning just ahead of my students.
Okay.
Um, and many of the teachers are brand new at teaching these skills as well, since technology is changing so quickly, and it's
Mhm.
changed a lot since they've started working here too. So some of our experience has been learning alongside the students. We also face the challenge of integrating this technology into core content and figuring out what that looks like in every subject. Sub-subjects need to be a little more creative in how they integrate their technology.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, it's been a real learning experience so far.
Okay. Well, one thing I want to share with you too, and I know you guys have been great. We're always, and I say we at EduTech are always willing to come and help you guys. And we've been very fortunate to come in and work with you and work with some of the other teachers in the school to be able to do just that and share resources, that you might not be aware of. So we thank you for letting us come in and help you with that as well. So, with all of this, there's so much on your plate just from your perspective, and then helping your teachers to also be able to integrate this into their classrooms. It seems like it's just one more thing. But let me ask you, Shelby, because you seem like you have this great outlook and a great mindset, and I very much appreciate that. What is your vision, just your individual vision for your school in the future of using technology with students and learning?
So what I'd like to see in our future with technology is to see our students eventually doing some more advanced things like robotics, programming, some more advanced coding, making things from scratch. I think that is where the deepest understanding is evident, is when somebody can make something out of nothing,
Mhm.
just with some tools they're given and code it to do something. That's really empowering. And I want our students to feel that. So their interest has peaked. And I think these kids have a lot of potential to dig in a little further. I know there are opportunities in our states of North Dakota for students to do these skills competitively. So I'd eventually like to get our kids involved with that, some friendly competition, and spark their interest in maybe a possible career path in technology for some of them. I'd also like our
That's
school to have just a little bit more confidence in implementing all this new technology in our building.
Yeah, that confidence can be, well, it's hard to find because especially if these ideas and this whole environment is new, that's something, students may be very hesitant. But I know with you supporting them and having, you behind them and encouraging them that that may also change. You might find those students that have a little spark. And when you find that interest, yeah, it's great to guide them in a direction. And it may be when you mentioned the technology careers, right? There are specific, programming careers and, software developers and all of that. But when you look at it in retrospect, every career that our students are going to have is going to be influenced by computer science, by cybersecurity, by AI. So even just teaching these skills, and no matter what career they go into, as long as they are aware, right, that they're going to be exposed to this and it's going to impact them in some shape, way, or form. Um, Shelby, let me ask you this because this is a competition we actually have coming up very soon, which is our middle school and high school cyber madness competitions. I would love to see a team from Minnewaukan enter into that competition. Is that something you've thought of before with your students?
That is actually one of the ones I'd heard of last year that got me interested in doing this competitively. So yeah, we'd totally like to get a team together for that.
That would be great. I will tell you, if it's a rush right now, registration is still open. You could get a middle school team together if you wanted to and have them enter in. But if not this year, I would love to see that as a goal for you guys for next year. I know I've seen a lot of students that never thought that they would be interested in it, and once they go to the competition, it turns on a light bulb to so many different things. And you will find that students really do have an interest that they may not have been aware of, right? Because they just haven't been exposed to it before. So, Shelby, that is absolutely great. Thank you so much for joining us today. Is there anything else that you would like to share before we sign off?
No, that's all I got for you. Thank you for all of your help at EduTech and thanks for having me on.
Yes, of course. I do have one more question for you. So, just from your perspective, as a new librarian media specialist that has I'm going to call it a task of bringing computer science and cybersecurity and AI to the students, what advice would you give a new media specialist coming into that role?
Definitely be willing to learn. Be willing to put in the time on your own and get to know all of this new technology that we're dealing with. It's so worth it, and it's worth it for you and your students.
Great. Thank you so much, Shelby. Again, thank you for being with us. And we look forward to seeing you in Minnewaukan and hopefully with our Cyber Madness competition.
Sure, thanks.
I'm Jackie Shively from Garrison, North Dakota. I've been an information technology specialist with EduTech for just over a year now. After 16 years teaching in the classroom in elementary and middle school, it's been really fun to integrate technology with students and teachers across the state of North Dakota. I have a few reminders for you today. First of all, applications for NC WIT, which is National Center for Women and Information Technology, are due on October 28th. That's coming up quickly. If you, as an educator or a student, know somebody who's interested, please Don't miss this opportunity to get involved and make a difference in tech education and equity. Also, don't forget to check out some of the trainings we have available through EduTech, especially those Microsoft trainings. These resources are a fantastic way to build your skills and stay ahead of that ever-changing tech landscape. Even if you're just starting out or just looking to deepen your expertise, Microsoft trainings through EduTech have something for everyone. Last, mark your calendars. Our next webinar will be held on November 3rd, featuring the dynamic and always insightful Leslie Fisher. Leslie will discuss AI in education, accessibility tools, and emerging tech and gadgets. Please note, you do need to pre-register for this session, so be sure to sign up early and secure your spot.